Welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. I'm your host, Hannah Hislop, here with the author and owner of the Tooth Fariy company, Edie Higby. Edie, how are you today?
Good morning. I am awesome. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me and the Tooth Fairy.
Of course, I'm so excited. I mean, the windy Wednesday, here we come.
We didn't know what we were gonna get.
No, we really didn't.
Yeah.
I hope the Tooth Fairy can still fly in this wind.
You know, she's pretty well seasoned. She's prepared for this. She already knew it was coming, and I'm sure she was prepared.
Perfect. Well, let's just jump right into it then. Yeah. You have a background in social service and you went to Whitworth, you have the education background. So what made you want to write a book?
You know, I have all of those things. And having, I've been in the field of education for 20 years, teaching, being a professional development trainer. You know, I love children and families. I mean, you don't get into education or social service to be rich and famous. You do it because you care about families and kids. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I always knew that there was an issue there with medical and dental and providing care and services for families and kids, especially with a lower income or a Head Start program. But when I started doing some independent consulting work and community outreach and education for a large dental corporation, I learned quickly that we really had a big problem. And as an educator and as a mom, I was not okay with this. Like, this was in my own backyard. This wasn't like in a third world country or you know, in 2010, the American Dental Association declared tooth decay as a national epidemic. Wow. I was like, an epidemic, like polio? Like, and we don't need an immunization for this or a vaccine. Right. We need education. It's totally preventable.
I know. Wow. It's amazing, honestly, because the Tooth Fairy is so popular.
Yeah, everyone loves the Tooth Fairy.
Everyone loves the Tooth Fairy.
It's like Santa, but Santa only comes once a year. The Tooth Fairy is on call, 365 days and nights a year.
Yeah, and the Tooth Fairy, she helps eliminate that fear, which is what your book targets, right? So could you maybe talk about, the National Tooth Fairy Day, you said is February 28th.
Yes, it's so exciting.
What kind of excitement do you have building around that?
So the book is called 10 Tips from the Tooth Fairy. And I thought, what a better way to educate communities, classrooms, and children about proper oral health and the Tooth Fairy, and everyone wants to know about her. So what we want to do is talk about the tips, and she goes tip by tip. Tip number 1 is brushing is fun. Tip number 2, you have to floss too. And she brings all the magical elements to a childhood. I mean, having the Tooth Fairy in your life is part of our childhood, right? And our children's childhood. And flying a Macy's balloon down the Thanksgiving Day parade, just like Santa, is similar to Smokey the Bear in preventing forest fires, but preventing tooth decay. We want to put that fun element and that educational a fun connotation to going to the dentist.
Yeah. So you mentioned Macy's Day Parade.
Yeah.
There's some pretty exciting news coming with that. Could you talk about it a little bit for us?
It's so exciting. I believe in the Tooth Fairy, and I believe in children's smiles. And the Tooth Fairy Company, our mission is to educate, encourage, and believe in preventing tooth decay. So we actually got to talk to Macy's about a week ago about possibly flying Tooth Fairy balloon down the Thanksgiving Macy's Day Parade. Wow. And that's been a dream of ours for a very long time. And because of the magical element of it, but it's like that positive connotation, and similar to Smokey the Bear in preventing forest fires, the Tooth Fairy is preventing tooth decay. Mm-hmm. So that is very exciting. And February 28th is National Tooth Fairy Day, and we're hoping to get the book out by then.
Wow, that is amazing.
It is amazing. Well, very exciting.
Let's talk a little bit about writing a book, the process and publishing. Yes. I don't even know. That's a lot of work.
Friends, let me tell you, it has been a labor of love. And when I try to tell people, because, I work, I have a full-time job, I have a family, I love my life, I love what I do, but every single person in my life is like, who is this crazy blonde lady that thinks she's a tooth fairy or talking about a tooth fairy? I don't know what she's doing. I'm so passionate about this public health service piece and fighting tooth decay and oral health as a childhood disease. And I just, writing a book was important to me, but I didn't just want to put a book out there. Of course, everyone loves a Tooth Fairy, and I want the book to do well, but the meaning behind the Tooth Fairy Company and 10 tips from the Tooth Fairy for the book is to prevent tooth decay, and to really bring awareness to this issue. This is an issue that warrants our attention.
Yeah.
Tooth decay is the most chronic childhood disease that we have in America today. It's the number one absenteeism from school. It's one of the third reasons that we enter a child into an emergency room underneath the age of 5. And it's totally preventable. Even death can occur from an oral health infection. And it's just, we have to do something differently if we're going to make long-lasting, impactful, meaningful change.
Yeah. Wow, that is crazy.
Writing the book was fun. Like, writing the book is easy. Getting it illustrated and published, those are, it takes a lot of time to do this. And you have to really, for me, it's like, oh, I just want to save the world. I really want to make change. So that was easy for me. But I've been talking about the Tooth Fariy for a long time. So I'm really excited the book is here.
Yeah. This book, I mean, I don't know if you guys can see the front cover, but it is beautiful.
Thank
the
you.
Tooth Fairy is so cute.
She's so awesome. I love her.
Yeah, she is so, so cute. She has a little tooth barrette that I think is like the touch on icing on the cake.
Yeah, she's awesome.
But you hired someone to illustrate her.
Yogesh, and I'm going to say his name wrong in the last name, but he is so awesome. He lives in India, so quite a time difference, quite a time change. Yogesh Mahan, and he's my best friend. I hope I get to meet him in person someday, but he has really brought her to life. And when I said I was having a meeting with Macy's, he just overnight, sent me a mock-up of what a Tooth Fairy balloon would look like running down, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. And, tears just came to my eyes. Like, that's going to be meaningful change, impactful. So thank you, Yogesh, for bringing her to life. She's really, literally, hopefully going to fly.
Wow.
I believe it.
I can't wait to sit and watch and see her, and I'm like,
I
know her. Yeah, seriously.
Me too.
My gosh.
Me too. I'm really excited.
Well, we talked a little bit about how this is an epidemic, but we are also in a pandemic.
Oh, boy.
How did the COVID-19 pandemic affect everything you have going on?
I will say this, because if something like tooth decay in childhood is already an epidemic, think about what COVID has done for us, right? And in isolation and social distancing, if I have my mask on, can you see if I'm smiling? No. So we don't know what the long-term psychological effects are going to have on our children or on us as a community. And smiles are so much more to a smile than just the physical element of it. I believe a smile is the physical presence of your spirit. It's the pep in your step. It's the energy you bring into a room. But mostly I'm concerned about the delay in care, because even I didn't get my 2 cleanings a year, right, for preventative care, and I know what I'm supposed to be doing. That's my fear for what the pandemic has probably done for most families and children. I mean, even to get to school, our classrooms closed down, we put masks on, we social distance, we had to isolate from home. So getting to the dentist is probably people's last priority.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a smile always brightens my day.
Of course.
When you see someone smile, it's like expressing their inner self to you, and I think it's so beautiful.
And that connection, we are hardwired for connection, and that's a smile is our universal language. That's how we know. If you ask a child, how do you know she was nice? How do you know she was kind? Because she smiled at me, or she shared something with me. And a smile is, we have to be mindful of joy. We have to be joyful, has to be a priority in our life.
Yeah.
And taking care of our smiles is important.
It so is.
Caring for them and sharing them.
Yes. Oh, that's
and she talks about
said.
that. Tip number 7 is kindness is the best gift given.
Yeah.
So she talks about sharing a smile and the importance of taking good care of it, but sharing it as well. And hashtag be brave, be kind, smile, sparkle, and shine.
Oh, that is so beautifully said.
Yeah, thank you.
So beautifully
thank
said.
you, the Tooth Fairy. Yes.
Okay, more of like a little fun question. What's your favorite tip?
It's probably tip number 7.
Yeah.
Tip number 7. Tip number 10 is good too, because it says take a deep breath and try again. Is tip number 10. So, and even doing something hard like tying your shoe or just being you, that can be hard. And as long as we know that, just take a deep breath. And it might come to an end, but not to worry, because we get to start all over and do it again.
My gosh, the book is coming out.
It's the book.
It's beautiful.
It was my divine assignment. I mean, and it's my privilege to deliver it to the world and to see the Tooth Fairy fly and ultimately to fight tooth decay. We got to bring attention to this issue. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a dentist, but I know families and kids, and I know this is a fun, magical way for kids to remember how to take good care of their teeth.
Yeah, and I mean, these lessons, they sound more like life lessons as well.
Yeah,
I
thank
mean,
you.
for sure, brushing your teeth, but
Yeah.
being kind, smiling, that all sounds like such great life lessons for
Yes.
children as well.
Thank you. And that was interesting for me, because that just something that evoked this emotional response in me, because the physical piece of it is that was easy. I was like, we got to brush our teeth, we got to floss, we got to teach them early, we got to get to the dentist. Tip number 3 is going to the dentist is key. And, and the dentist is our friend, and we have to be doing those things, but there's so much more to a smile. That's what we got to teach kids. Oh my gosh, if we could change the world, we could do it by teaching kids about kindness, right? And smiling.
Oh my gosh.
So
totally.
And the magic mailbox.
Yes.
So that's,
That
pretty
is
special.
something that I would love for you to touch a little bit more on.
Okay.
Especially for our viewers who have children, because it's pretty special.
So everyone, and all my kids in classrooms and communities have my nieces and nephews. I mean, everyone said, well, I need to write the Tooth Fairy letter. Do you know her? And I'm like, everyone wants to know about the Tooth Fairy. I have dentist offices calling me saying, how can we get a hold of the Tooth Fairy? So I, the Tooth Fairy made sure that I had a P.O. box where people, classrooms, children, and families could write her. So it's the Tooth Fairy Company at 222 Spokane, Washington. It's on the back of the book, and she wants to hear from you. Drop her a note. Tell her why you believe that a tooth fairy balloon should fly. Like, why should she fly?
Yeah.
Talk about a smile. Talk about being kind. Talk about she wants to hear from you. So I think it'd be really important. I think it'd be really cool to share with the Spokesman Review or the New York Times or about what children in classroom and communities that are saying about sharing their smiles.
Yeah, wow, it's so great.
The magic mailbox.
It really is a magic mailbox.
It's so exciting, just really wonderful.
Yeah. Well, my last question for you: what is the most appropriate amount of money a child should get from the Tooth Fairy for their tooth?
I knew that someone was going to ask me that question, and I thought a lot about this. And I remember when I have adult children now, but when Ashley and Tony were little, the Tooth Fairy brought toothbrushes. So they always got new toothbrushes and a little treasure block to put their tooth in that they were going to lose. So I don't know that they ever really got money. The going rate for a tooth, I don't even know that I could say. My little niece, Cecilia or Isabella, said that they were going to give their money to someone that might need it. So I thought that would be a really interesting thing, too, for the Magic Bell Box, for kids to give their money back to maybe kiddos that need it. Or Smiles in Africa, whatever it might be. But what the going rate is, I think I like a toothbrush.
Yeah, I like that, too. I mean,
call your dentist.
We have a giant toothbrush right here for...
So fun.
It's so fun. And those kiddos, I mean, it goes to show...
It's not about money.
Their hearts are huge. Kids have big hearts.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's what gave me the idea.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to remember. I mean, talk about the life lesson we could teach a child. It's like, oh, you got $1 or you got $5 or a quarter for your tooth. Wow, what else could we do with that money?
Right.
I talk about putting it back or giving it back. That's how we create a culture of kindness and compassion.
Oh my gosh, so true.
It makes me happy. And we have to be mindful of joy.
Yeah, honestly, especially in today's time.
Yeah, and we all need a smile right now. I believe that the power of a smile is what's going to keep us connected and keep us through this.
Very, very beautifully said.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edie, for being with us today.
Thank you.
This book comes out hopefully in February.
National Dental Health Month and National Tooth Fairy Day is the 28th of February. So 2021, it's going to be a better run.
It really
Friends,
is.
I believe it.
Thank you again so much. And you guys can find this book and you can learn more about the Macy's Day Parade. Yeah. I mean,
I
it
believe
doesn't get better than this.
Write the magic mailbox and we'll run the I Believe campaign and why the Tooth Fairy should fly.
Yes.
Tell us why.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being with us today.
My
Stick
privilege.
around for a short commercial break.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, this is Loomsday in Spokane. We got about 40 firefighters and their friends and family handing out 40,000 cups of water as the day goes by.
It's a very good opportunity to see the public and support them and help them out and cheer them on during Bloomsday. It's one of the best things about Spokane is that we have these major events and the whole community comes together not just to participate, but to volunteer and show that they really care about our city and making our city look great.
This type of an event really is emblematic of Spokane because so many people get involved. We have 50,000 people probably running this race. Always has been a very huge event.
Right now we're at the corner of Broadway and Nettleton. It's the last water station before the finish, so people are pretty much dehydrated by the time they get to us. They really need our water.
The water stations are a vital part, especially on warm days like today. It's real important that we have the volunteers to help with that. Without the volunteers, Bloomsday wouldn't exist.
All up and down the course, there are people that are involved in this celebration. It really is a celebration of what Spokane's all about.
Welcome to Apex Plaza, Spokane's one-stop cannabis destination. Apex Cannabis features thousands of economy, value, and luxury cannabis products. Cannagear features hemp-based CBD products, glass, goods, and gear. Stop by 1325 North Division to experience the Apex difference.
This product has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming. Marijuana can impair concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence of this drug. There may be health risk associated with the consumption of this product. For use only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children.
When building a home or considering a major remodel, who are you going to choose? The Spokane Home Builders Association is an organization that works to elevate professionalism in the residential construction industry. We promote, protect, and educate for our community, building our community one home at a time. We are the Spokane Home Builders Association.
Thanks for watching this episode of The Pulse. We are where you are. Check us out on any of these other platforms as well as our website. This show is sponsored by Local 29 Firefighters Union, Homes for You, and Apex Cannabis.